Have you ever hired a freelancer who seemed like a perfect match, at least in the beginning? They send you a nice portfolio, say all the right things, promise they can start right away. You look at their work and think, finally, someone who gets it. They sound confident, they sound professional. You can almost feel that little spark of relief, like maybe, just maybe, this time it's going to work. You give them access, you share your files, you explain your processes, record tutorials, answer questions, show them your systems, sometimes even things no one outside your company has ever seen. At first, it's smooth, they're responsive, they're polite, they deliver fast. You start to relax. You tell yourself, okay, maybe I was just unlucky before. Maybe this one will stay. A few weeks pass. Then something shifts. The tone of their messages changes. Replies take a little longer. Deadlines stretch. And one morning, you open your inbox and it's empty. No message, no update, just silence. You wait a day, then another. You start to wonder if something happened. Maybe they got sick, maybe an emergency. You write again, politely, just checking in. Still nothing. Days go by and you realize you've been ghosted. All the access you gave, all the effort you put in, all the time you invested in onboarding, gone. Sound familiar? You're not alone. This isn't just your story. It's the story of thousands of founders, solopreneurs, and small business owners trying to delegate in the modern world. When I started hiring remotely, I thought I just needed to find the right person, someone responsible, independent, loyal, someone who could take a task and just run with it. No micromanagement, no chasing, and to be fair, sometimes I did find them, but only for a while. The truth is, the freelance model is built on independence, and independence cuts both ways. Freelancers choose who they work with, how long they stay, and what they prioritize. To you, your project might be the priority. To them, it's just a project, one of many. You might see them as part of your business. They might see you as one of 10 open tabs on their laptop, and that's not necessarily wrong, it's just reality. Let me give you an example. A friend of mine, let's call him Alex, runs a small marketing agency. He hired a freelance designer. She was smart, fast, creative. He was thrilled. He spent weeks training her, built templates, explained the tone of voice, shared client preferences, branding rules, everything. For 2 months, it was perfect. She understood the vision. Clients loved her work. He thought, I finally found my person. Then, one day, she stopped replying. No warning, no conflict, no goodbye. A week later, he saw her new post on LinkedIn announcing she'd joined a bigger client overseas. Was she a bad person? Number. She just didn't owe him that level of commitment, and that's the core of it. In the freelance world, commitment is optional. You think you're hiring a team member, but you're really hiring a temporary partner, someone whose loyalty ends with the invoice. People often say freelancers are cheaper. You don't pay payroll taxes, you don't rent office space, you don't deal with HR. But here's the part no one talks about. Every time a freelancer leaves, you lose far more than money. You lose time. Explaining, onboarding, re-explaining, fixing mistakes, you lose momentum. Projects pause while you scramble to find a replacement. You lose consistency because no two people ever do the same task exactly the same way. It's like rebuilding a house every time you need to change a light bulb. Once I tried to calculate how much time I'd personally wasted reteaching the same processes to new assistants over the years. The result shocked me. Over 80 hours. 80 hours of pure instruction, just repeating what was already documented, already recorded, already said before. That's 2 full work weeks gone. 2 weeks that could have been spent on strategy, clients, or growth, instead of teaching how we name files for the 10th time. At that moment, I realized something important. The problem wasn't finding better freelancers, it was building better systems. Here's the question that changed everything for me. Instead of asking, who can I hire? I started asking, how can I make this process survive without me or any one person? That question changes your entire perspective, because when you start thinking in systems, you stop depending on individuals. You start documenting. You build templates, checklists, automations. You define what good looks like, what done means, what happens when something goes wrong. Suddenly your workflow doesn't live inside someone's head, it lives in your system, where anyone can step in and continue. If your designer leaves, the brand guide is still there. If your assistant disappears, the SOP is still documented. If your copywriter quits, your tone of voice still exists on paper. And that's when delegation finally starts working. The pandemic changed how we work, but it didn't teach us how to manage. Everyone rushed online. Zoom replaced meetings. Slack replaced hallway conversations. Freelancers replaced employees, but the structure, the invisible spine of how work gets done, stayed broken. Deadlines still slipped. Communication still got messy. People still vanished mid project. Why? Because tools don't replace systems. You can have the best project management app in the world and still have chaos if no one follows the process. So the problem isn't remote work, it's unmanaged remote work. Some people call this remote operations maturity. It's the level where your business stops relying on personalities and starts relying on procedures. At the early stage, everything depends on individuals. You hire one person, they do everything. When they leave, you start over. At the next level, you have a small team, maybe some structure, but most of the work still lives in chat threads and personal memory. At the mature level, though, your system works like a relay race. Each person can pass the baton and the work continues smoothly. That's when you stop chasing people and start managing outcomes. We're now seeing a global shift. Businesses are moving away from the gig economy mindset, the endless cycle of short-term freelancers, and building small, specialized remote teams that operate like micro-departments. These teams have shared documentation, overlapping skills, quality control, and accountability. They're flexible like freelancers, but reliable like in-house staff. It's a hybrid model that blends independence with structure. You get creativity, but you also get continuity. And that's where the future of remote work is headed. It's not about control, it's about reliability. And in the world of remote work, reliability is the new currency. The smartest founders I know don't just hire, they design workflows. They think about how information flows, how updates are tracked, how feedback loops are built. They don't say, you'll figure it out. They say, here's how we do it, and here's how you'll know you're doing it right. They use dashboards to visualize progress, shared folders to centralize resources, and templates for repetitive work. They turn accountability into part of the system, not something they have to chase manually. It's not micromanagement, it's architecture. When you build that kind of environment, freelancers stop being liabilities and start being interchangeable specialists within a reliable framework. That's how you scale peace of mind. I've made almost every mistake possible in remote hiring. I've trusted without documenting. I've onboarded without structure. I've assumed people would just know what I meant. Every time I paid the same price: stress, delay, disappointment. Now I see delegation differently. It's not about trust, it's about clarity. Trust is emotional, clarity is operational, and clarity outlasts people. When you have clarity, you can lose a team member and not lose direction. You can onboard faster, fix errors quicker, and protect your own time. That's the real freedom business owners are chasing, not more people doing the work. But less chaos when people change. If you look closely, a quiet revolution is already happening. Agencies that used to rely on dozens of freelancers are now building documented systems. Startups are replacing random hires with small pods of trained remote collaborators. Even solo entrepreneurs are learning to use tools like Notion, ClickUp, and Loom to scale their operations without scaling their team size. The pattern is clear. The winners in this new economy aren't the ones with the most freelancers. They're the ones with the most predictable systems. When people talk about freedom in business, they usually mean time freedom. But real freedom comes from operational freedom. The ability to step away and know things will still get done. When your business runs on a system, you can travel, take a week off, or focus on strategy without feeling guilty or afraid that everything will collapse. That's not about control. That's about confidence. And once you experience that, it's hard to go back. So if you've ever been frustrated because your freelancer disappeared, missed deadlines, or just faded away, it's not bad luck. It's the model showing its limits. Freelancers are not broken. The system around them is. And once you understand that, you stop blaming people and start building processes. That's what we talk about here on the Time Back project. What fails, what scales, and what actually gives you your time back. Because in the end, that's what this is all about. Reclaiming your time, your focus, your energy. If that's the kind of insight you want more of, subscribe and let's figure this new world of work out together.